It's going to get quite warm in here, so I'm going to strip off. But don't worry, that's as far as it goes. I don't want to put people off for the rest of the day. Right. So, good morning and welcome to the workshop on digital engagement in archaeology. If I sound out of breath, because literally I've just run from King's Cross Station. So I'm still getting my breath back. I'll just say a few words of introduction. It seems to me that we, as archaeologists, often see ourselves as solely concerned with analysing remains from the past to produce an understanding of that past. We see ourselves, in other words, as authors creating a narrative based on evidence. Yet we seldom think of ourselves as narrators within a chain of communication and engagement. And it seems to me that we need to be a lot more sophisticated about our understanding of where we sit within the chain of communication and the processes that people have in engaging with the past. We're not the authors of the past. The authors lie way back in the deep past. They're the people whose lives we are seeking to understand. In communicating our narratives, it seems to me we have a very poor understanding of the media involved in communication and engagement, and we need to improve our understanding of those media. We need also to understand far better the process of consumption of people by the narratives we produce. In other words, we need to think a lot more deeply about where we sit as archaeologists between people in the past and people today. We need to understand more deeply the media we use. We no longer have only the didactic media of print, radio and television. Digital technologies are revolutionising the relationship between authors and consumers. Indeed, even breaking down those very categories themselves. We often see communication as a process of delivering information. But in reality, these days, communication is more of a dialogue. As archaeologists, it could be argued that we are notoriously bad at dialogue with people outside our own discipline. As the professional interpreters of the past, we are often more comfortable in the role of guru, teacher, expert, and we see ourselves as owners of our own narratives. Modern technologies, however, give voices to people to contest discourses and deliver their own interpretations. They can allow an interactive exchange between experts and consumers. They can engage people directly through different modes of learning. We need also to think very carefully about what it is we are communicating. Are we trying to get across a recognition of a past unlike the present, an experience of past lives, or what the experience is of uncovering those lives, an understanding of how the past illuminates human behaviour, how we use the past in the service of the present? Do we seek to get across the impassioned debates we have about the past and its place today? And do we think seriously about how we hand on the past and our narratives to succeeding generations? We need also to think more carefully about how people engage with the past and with archaeology, whether through reason, logic and intellect, whether through feeling, empathy and sensibility, or whether through active processes such as doing archaeology itself for themselves. Today's workshop is part of that process of debating and highlighting the role of digital communications in engaging people with archaeology. We shall be looking at digital media, online communications, research into the use of media, and at some future directions for digital technologies in archaeology. We will cover smartphones, social media, websites, the internet, engagement through gaming, online TV and the potential of open access. There is a brave new world opening up, and these are exciting times. Today promises to be both stimulating and exciting. Now today could not happen without someone to organise a day such as this, and a great deal of thanks need to go to Chiara Bonacchi for doing the organising of today. And I'll just call upon Chiara now to say a few words about the rest of the day.
Yes, I would would just like to say a couple of quick words regarding the overall aim of the workshop and about the Archaeology and Communication Research Network. Now, the network started with the idea of developing strategies for engaging the public with archaeology through research that is centered on the analysis of audiences and their experiences, their consumption of different forms of communication. This is also intended as a contribution towards a more data-driven public archaeology that starts, because there is not much of this kind out there at present, so that starts, I was saying, to answer two main questions. Who are our audiences, and how do we engage different segments of the public in operational terms? This workshop in particular was organized in collaboration with Caspar and focuses on operational strategies via which archaeologists may engage the non-specialist public through digital media experiences. So papers will explore most promising uses of digital technologies in different domains of archaeological communication. Each use will be presented through one or more case studies, highlighting how media experiences were designed and how they have been consumed. So data on the profile of the audience and their behavior of consumption are key. Now, this is the first step that we are taking towards the organization of an international conference in autumn 2012, where more strategies of engagement through digital technologies will be presented. So, since possible sessions and topics will start to be discussed today in our final discussion, I hope that you will be able to attend for the whole day and participate. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Chiara. As today is being filmed, can I ask all speakers to do as I and sort of speak from here so they are sort of on camera, as it were? I have this tendency to wander off to one side. Don't copy me. I'll be chairing this first session, and speakers should note that with 5 minutes to go, I'm going to do that at them. Okay? And then 2 minutes to go, I'm going to do that. And when your time is up, I'm going to hoik you out of the room, okay? Time is gone. So, okay, our first speaker, very happy to introduce Meriel Jeter from the Museum of London to talk about the street museum application, about which I've heard, and I'm wanting to hear more.
Hi there, I'm Meriel. I'm a curator in the Department of Archaeological Collections and Archive at the Museum of London. So I'm going to be speaking about the Museum of London's smartphone application called Street Museum, and its planned new application to explore Roman London, which is going to be called Street Museum Londinium. Right, so what is Street Museum? If you haven't got it already on your smartphone, it's an augmented reality smartphone application. And there are 200 hotspot locations around London, each with a historic photograph of what that London location looked like in the past and information about that location. So the idea is if you're in the London street and you start the app going on your phone's GPS will tell you where your nearest hotspots are. So you can go to those hotspots and hold up your phone and look through your phone's camera, and you will see a photograph of what that location looked like in the past. So although Street Museum is technically about 19th and 20th century London, it still has a lot of relevance to archaeology, particularly because we're going to be releasing a new application called Street Museum Londinium in July, which has a lot of archaeological content. So today I'm going to be looking at where the Street Museum app idea came from, how it was developed, how much it cost, the public response to it, and the development of future applications. So, the Street Museum app actually started as an idea to promote our new Galleries of Modern London, which opened in May 2010. And when the museum was thinking of ways to promote the galleries, they went to a creative agency called Brothers and Sisters to get some ideas. And we wanted to create some sort of viral internet campaign related to the main marketing campaign for those galleries. The main marketing campaign for the galleries was the You Are Here campaign. And it used old photographs and images of London locations and tried to make people feel like there was a connection between London in the past and images of what they looked like in the past to London today, and that people should come to the Museum of London to explore that connection in the new galleries. So the agency suggested various sort of different viral internet campaigns, but the most exciting one of their proposals was to create an iPhone app which would definitely explore this sort of link between London in the past and London today through location. The idea of the app was so strong, it was the favourite of all the suggestions given to us by the creative agency. Because it was such new technology, we wanted to show that as a museum we're not sort of stuck in the past. We are embracing new cutting-edge technologies, and we are in touch with the modern world. We also knew it would generate a lot of press, because I think we were the first museum to release an iPhone application, so there would be quite a lot of buzz about it. And it's an appropriate sort of marketing tool for London, because London has more iPhone users than anywhere else in the country. So how we developed it, well, the time scale was very tight. We actually went and briefed the creative agency in January 2010. They came back to us in February suggesting the smartphone app. They started working on it in March, and then it was released in May, on the 10th of May. So we only had 2 months to do this, which is pretty impressive. And our marketing manager, who managed the project, said that in an ideal world they would have had more development time so they could make the app slicker, more user testing to iron out any quirks, and they would have had time to put in extra functions like user-generated content, but with just 2 months to do it, and it wasn't possible. So the agency did all the programming, but the Museum of London had to come up with the content, so we provided 200 images from our collection and captions for those images that were written by curators. And then each photograph was geotagged with a latitude and longitude, so it's as accurate to its location as possible. And then the agency staff actually cycled around London to each location to check that it was correct. Then our head of marketing double-checked all those locations using Google Maps and Google Street View, which was a very good thing that she did, because she did notice that the agency had made a few mistakes with their locating of the pictures. And I think it's quite interesting that the sort of production of this new app depended on new online tools like Google Street View, and in order to produce it in the timescale that we had. So in terms of cost, it cost the Museum of London £20,000, but it would probably have been more like between £40,000 and £50,000 in reality. But the agency covered half the costs, because they knew it would be a loss leader. They knew that it was going to create a lot of interest and they would get lots of work on the back of it. So that's why they kind of shared the cost with us. And it's done exactly that. They've got a huge amount of business out of this application, and they're producing it for places like Russia and other cities around the world. And it was so popular that we ended up doing an Android version for it, which cost another £28,000. So on its release, I mean, it generated a huge response in the press, and it's a response that's been continuing today. A year later, there are still articles going out in magazines, websites and so on, saying, oh, you must have this app, you know, you've got to try it. And after each article comes out, there's a new burst of sort of tweeting and blogging and people talking about it. And the interest has been national and international. So far we've got 200,000 downloads, which we're really pleased about. I mean, as the museum has about 500,000 visitors to the actual museum every year, 200,000 downloads of an app actually is really good. It's been very successful in raising the museum's profile, and anecdotally we know that it's encouraged new young adult audiences into the museum. The sort of 16 to 24-year-old audience is a very difficult one to capture for museums, and this has been a fantastic way of doing it. It's kind of new technology. And you know, from their blogs and tweets and so on, they've been saying, this app's really cool, I actually want to come to the museum to see the objects and the photographs in person. And we recently won a Webby Award, and it was a People's Voice Award for Best Use of Device Camera. I'd never heard of the Webbies until last week, but apparently they are the internet and mobile phone equivalent of the Oscars, so we are very, very pleased about that. And the fact that it's the People's Voice Awards, which means it's voted for by members of the public, is especially sort of gratifying. One of the reasons that it has been so successful is it was one of the first augmented reality apps to be released. So when you stand on your street location, you look through your phone's camera rather, and you can see live footage of that street, and it will overlay a picture of what that street looked like in the past. So this is Piccadilly Circus. You see, this is the I think soldiers in the Second World War at Piccadilly Circus. And sometimes it looks very dramatic. Like this one, for example, is Queen Victoria Street, and this is a building that's collapsing, I think during the Blitz. So it's quite an impressive result. And we've had over 200 inquiries from other organisations who want to do similar things or advice on how to do it. And we've had lots of opportunities for cross-promotion. And in fact, we recently had an approach from Nokia. They came to us asking us for an idea for an application for their users. And so we suggested a similar location-based app based on the music history of London, and it's called Soundtrack to London. And it's now available on Nokia smartphones. So you go to a London location, you get information about the musical significance of that location, and you can download relevant songs from the Nokia music download service. So you can go to like the fish restaurant where the Smiths broke up, and then you can download some Smith songs. It's been a great opportunity for us because Nokia paid for the whole thing. We just had to provide the content and help to promote it. And of course they gain because they've got a new thing to pass on to their customers, and they get all the money from the related music downloads. Development still to come is Street Museum Londinium, which is again a partnership project. It's developed with the TV channel History. They used to be called the History Channel, now they're just called History. And it's a very similar concept to the original Street Museum, but it's going to be based on Roman London. And it's going to have lots of cool new features to sort of stimulate more interest. So we can't sort of keep doing the same thing over and over again. We have to keep adding in new kinds of quirky content to make people want to download this one. So one thing it's going to include, instead of just photos, it's going to include video footage. And that's one of the brilliant things about pairing up with History Channel, is that they will supply this video footage. So for example, if you go to the site of 101 Lower Thames Street, the site of the Billingsgate Bathhouse, you'll be able to look through your phone's camera and see a video of somebody at the baths. So it'll be, again, augmented reality. So these are some of these green screen videos that the History Channel have filmed. So they're green screen so that the characters can be superimposed on any backgrounds. So we've got gladiators fighting there, which is going to be at the site of the Guildhall Amphitheatre. And then the Wailing Ladies at the top are mourning the death of the Spitalfields Roman woman who was excavated at Spitalfields. We're also going to have a soundscape of various sounds. So you have sounds of Roman life, which again History Channel are providing, but we also have our own Roman sounds at the Museum of London. So you'll get sounds of the Roman High Street, the quayside, soldiers marching, that sort of thing. And this shows you what the pictures will look like without the green screen. So these are the gladiators on the site of the amphitheatre. And this is the Billingsgate Bathhouse. You'll be relieved to know no nakedness involved there. It'll also have still images of artefacts found on those sites and images of the actual archaeological excavations with information, which the museum is providing. And what's really exciting about the artefacts is that when you look at them on your phone, they will be covered by a soil effect. So you will use your smartphone screen to excavate the objects. And it's going to be so sensitive that there will be one speck of dust still left on your object, and you'll have to blow your screen to blow the speck of dust away. So it's these sort of things that make this app, it's fun as well as informative. You will also be able to share your find on Facebook or the geotagging site Foursquare, or upload it to Twitter as well, so you can tell all your friends you found a Roman coin or something like that in the street. We are also going to use the Museum of London Archaeology's new Roman map of London. So that's a map that showcases all the different Roman archaeology, and that will be combined with Google Maps so that you will be able to compare the two, and they will overlay each other and you can separate them out so you can see what's the same, what's changed in London over the last 2,000 years. So we're launching this on the 25th of July, and it's going to be very heavily promoted at our Gladiator Games at the Guildhall on the 30th and 31st of July, which is part of the Festival of British Archaeology. It's going to be available from iTunes to download for iPhones and iPads, and if it's as successful as we hope it's going to be, we should be able to also do an Android version later on, but we need to get some extra money for that. So we're going to be gathering sort of information about the public response, so watch this space, I'm sure we'll be telling you what's happening. We've actually trademarked the title Street Museum to protect it from being used by other people, and that costs about £200 to trademark the title. So we can keep doing new versions of Street Museum for different periods of London's history or whatever we choose. And we're keeping them as free downloads because we want as many people as possible to be using them. So I think the most important thing about this story really is the possibilities of collaboration. That at the Museum of London, obviously, we have very limited funds. We can't do this sort of thing on our own, so it's only in the process of working with other organisations that we've been able to do it. So working with brothers and sisters and them sharing the cost of developing the first app, or working with Nokia, or the History Channel. So it's a sort of mutually beneficial partnership. They promote themselves, as do we, and we get an exciting application out of it. So, if you've got the right kind of phone and you want to download it, this is the page, museumoflondon.org.uk, and if you go to Explore Online and Apps, you'll be able to get both the ordinary 19th and 20th century street museum and the Nokia app, and from the 25th of July you will be able to get the Londinium app as well. That brings me to the end. Thank you.
Mariel, thank you very much indeed. Exemplary, finishing early. I like you. Wonderful. We have 5 minutes for questions after each speaker about their particular presentation, but we also have room for discussion at the end of the day, of course, more interesting, more generic sort of topics. Does anyone have a question for Mariel? I've got a couple which have occurred to me, but Tim?
No, I was just wondering whether you could say something about the popularity of it. In other words, the user levels of it, which you...
Should I come up to
Yes.
the
It would be interesting to know, because you say the trade magazines have got a vast interest in it, everybody else is looking at it. I was just wondering whether you have any way of scaling just how popular it is.
Yeah, well, as I said, we've had 200,000 downloads so far, which is a lot more than we had planned.
Right.
So that's really pleasing. And all of we can look at the tweets and the blogs. I mean, that's what the brilliant thing about social media is you can kind of chart your progress through just looking up Museum of London on Twitter, and you can see what everyone's saying. And they're being really positive about the application, so we're very pleased.
Excellent. Anyone else? Yes, at the back.
I think it's really, really impressive piece of work, and obviously the amount of publicity that you get from that makes the whole enterprise worth it on those grounds alone. But I was just wondering if you had any thoughts about any way to monetize that popularity?
Oh, no, not really. I mean, as I said, we want to keep it free. I mean, it's a good thought that there are other. I mean, the people that we partnership with obviously monetize it. Like Nokia, for example, they get the money from the music downloads, and that's the only way that we would have been able to do that kind of app, is working with another organisation. So I suppose we promote ourselves and aim to get more visitors through the doors that way. And I mean, one of the issues that we have at the Museum of London is that we have a very small marketing budget. So all those kind of big, flashy tube campaigns that you see for sort of the V&A exhibition, the British Museum exhibitions, we can't afford to do that. And so many people in London don't actually know that the Museum of London exists. So we really need to get our name around, and this is a fantastic way of doing that.
Perhaps just a thought, could you tie in the apps to the shop and say that you're looking at your street scene and there might be actually sort of book or postcards or something in the shop you could order online or something like that?
Yeah, I mean, we do have our prints online facility where you can order like historic photographs off our website.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure, but I mean that if it's not
So
there
tying
already,
that into
it's
the
a
app
link,
could
it
be a
would-
way of helping
yeah.
helping use the app to generate income. Just to,
Yeah, certainly.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
What about Nokia? Because I haven't seen them advertise this amazing kind of Music of London thing. Can you not like channel advertisement through them? Do you know what I mean? Because they've obviously got massive budget extractors now.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure what the contract was with Nokia about, because as far as I understand it, we were also responsible for promoting the app. So, yes, I don't know how they sort of internally advertise it to their users. I don't have that kind of phone, unfortunately, so I can't.
I do. I must admit, I've not seen it, but I don't check my apps very regularly on the
Okay.
phone. So. Yes, at the back.
Have you got any record that you would actually use the application, or is just only for download? Because
Yeah, we
it's
can-
interesting to see exactly where people use it.
Right.
And,
I don't know how, if you can tell that. I think you can only do it on downloads. I might be wrong about that. Yeah, all I know is that we've got 200,000 downloads.
It would be interesting to know, wouldn't it, if there are
Yes.
particular places which people are going to rather than others.
Yes, I'm sure that information must be stored
Yeah.
somewhere. I don't know whether we can access it.
Yeah. Yes.
It's just a quick question about the Street Museum app and the different layers. So you've got the Street Museum Londinium, which sounds great, but it's a separate app. I'm just wondering why it couldn't be incorporated in the existing app as a new layer.
I think because we wanted to make it seem very Roman, if you see what I mean. It's a sort of it's a move away, and we're also promoting various Roman things, like we're going to be redoing our Roman gallery soon as well, so that kind of links very closely into that. So I mean, it's got the Street Museum title, so everybody knows that it's from the same organisation and it's the same kind of app, but we wanted to seem very Roman in theme rather than mix it up with the other one.
Yes, Andy.
Yeah, so my question follows on from that one, really. Do you sort of envisage that these sorts of initiatives in the future will be very much like exhibitions? They'll be sort of temporary and they'll be very topic focused and that sort of thing, maybe driven by people like Nokia? Or is it going to be a sort of, would you roll out a whole series of different bits of information from the museum in a sort of a more comprehensive or integrated way? Do you know what I mean? Like how topical and individual would this sort of thing be in future, do you think?
I don't know where we would go with that. I mean, are you thinking sort of like putting the museum's whole collection as on some sort of app?
Maybe not the whole collection, but you know what I mean, more evenly spread across the museum's collections? Or will it be, we're going to do an exhibition on Londinium, so therefore we'll have an app for a couple of years or a year that covers that topic?
Well, as far as I know, I don't think these apps have a sort of an end point, so they will always be there. So, yeah, I don't know what the marketing department's sort of plans is to do any further ones. I guess it will depend on what, as you say, what exhibitions come up in the future.
It would be nice to think, wouldn't it, there'd be a sort of strategic look at what you could produce, like a future running programme and seeking money for particular topics and areas, wouldn't it? So,
Yeah. I mean, we've got a big project over the next 3 years called Collections Online, where we're putting, supposedly 90,000 objects from our collection on our website. So it's possible that we might do something with that, but as I say, I don't know what the future plans are.
Okay. That's some very good questions there. Thank you very much.
Thank
you
you.
very much, Mary, indeed. So, from the Museum of London, we now go to the British Museum, and I'm looking vaguely, speaker, here.
Oh, is that me?
That's you, yeah.
There you are, Dan. I couldn't see you from up there.
Sorry, I
Right around the side, I couldn't see you. Stop playing with your iPhone apps. Now, this, as you will notice, is Lena Zimmer. Actually, no, it's Dan Peck. Lena can't be here to give her paper, so Dan is going to deliver her paper for her. Looking at the use of, we've talked about marketing already, but the use of social media as marketing from the British Museum's perspective. Dan, over to you.
Thank you. I'm not sure how good this is going to be because I sort of got given it at the last minute. I've been working at the British Museum for 8 years, and I've been working on web stuff there, Water Antiquity Scheme. I've had quite a big role in the British Museum website as well, so I can talk quite a bit about what Lena wanted to talk about, and hopefully you'll get an understanding of what the British Museum's trying to do with social media. If you've got any more questions, you can ask them to me at the end. I'll try and answer them. If I can't give you the answer, I can ask Lena and come back to you. And she's quite willing to answer questions later on as well. Unfortunately, her grandfather died, which is why she can't come. So, the British Museum started using social media around 2006. We had a big refreshment programme 5 years ago, where we decided to replace the old website with something very new. And we had a board meeting with the trustees, and the person who was most interested in social media was Vikram Seth, who was one of our trustees back then. At that meeting I said to him, do you use any social media? And he goes, no, I haven't even got a computer. Which I thought was quite interesting, that he realised that it was really important that we use social media. So the British Museum is now using Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, Flickr and a blog. They're not promoting it very heavily, and I'm going to talk a little bit about the stats a bit later on. And they're not terribly impressive as far as I'm concerned in terms of social media usage, and I think some people here might agree with that. So the museum's been active on Twitter since 2009. It's been on Facebook since April 2009, and it's got a fan page dedicated completely to the museum. And I think quite a few people in here are actually fans of the museum and do contribute to what's going on there. I don't think sometimes they're very engaging in some of the comments on there, but it's a national institution. And where do they draw the line on engagement and being sort of authority? I think it's very hard when you've got a social media team which is only, say, 2 people. And I think Lena's doing most of the work by herself, and she gets contributions from people like Colin at the back, who's doing a big event. We've also got an active Flickr page. This is quite scarce or sparse at the moment. I think they can add a lot more to it, but we'll talk a bit more about that as well. So Lena's got some stats on why does the arts and culture sector use social media. So I think, can you all read that from back? Can you see that? No, probably not. Okay, so the most common reason, I'll go back to this one here, is to find out more about the artist, performer or event and exhibition. 33% of people using social media want to find out about what's going on at museums. I think that's very true about the museum website as well. If you look at the bounce rate of people coming in, they come look at about 4 pages, they find what times the museum's open, what's going on. They don't look at anything else. For example, I work for Water Antiquity Scheme. We get 100 referrals from the VM website, even though we're on the front page a month. Only 100. And we get 6 million visitors a year online. So you can say that people aren't really that engaged with the rest of the content of the British Museum site in some ways. So what else are they after? Well, they want to purchase tickets. They want to see what's video of what the museum's up to. And the videos start to become more popular, especially as now they start to put out very short clips of high quality video of the exhibitions. But this only comes from a very small sample as well, 2,000 people. It's not quite as bad as those adverts you see on TV for hair shampoo. They've got a little sample bottom. 87% of women agreed, but only 33 answered the survey. So maybe that figure is a bit better than normal. So we'll give you a few examples of why museums using social media. I'm not too sure what you want to do with this slide, but this is just the British Museum Facebook page. So you can see that they've got images of the garden that's been built recently. We've got comments about what's going on. So there was a filming of the After the Ashes film. And then they talk about certain things. They're pretty much just messages about what the museum's doing, marketing messages. That's what Lena does, she's a marketing professional. And this is one of the most popular things that they have. They get quite high impressions on Facebook. 80,000 people look at that post. If I look at our Water Antiquities post, we get 1,000 to 3,000 people looking at posts. So they are getting a lot of traffic, basically, because they're a big organisation. People aspire to the British Museum. I remember when I became an archaeologist, I'd like to work at the British Museum. Never thought I'd work there because I didn't really go to lectures and do very much. I hate Twitter crowds and stuff like this, but Lena's put one in. And apparently archaeology features in this cloud. I can't find archaeology at all in that cloud. I think the British Museum is an archaeological museum. Have you found it? Just down there.
Left to the bottom.
Oh, brilliant.
Just a little bit.
This is weighted. If you've never seen one of these before, this is meant to show you how prevalent the terms are that they're sending out on social media. So archaeology is not mentioned very much. I don't agree with the museum being very arty, but lots of other people do who work in the museum. We've got lots of art historians. All sorts of subjects now. So how do you measure social media? Well, qualitative, you can have popularity matrix, you can get the audience to retweet you. That's one of the things the museum is trying to do. They're trying to engage people who actually work in the museum to send out their propaganda. And it is propaganda really when you're sending out stuff about a museum. You're trying to make people like the museum, you're trying to make people understand what we're up to. You can observe what people are actually up to with social media websites as well. If you use Google Analytics, you can find out if people come to your website via Twitter, whether you're buying tickets. And I was actually quite surprised that some work for Lena on ticket purchases via Twitter and Facebook. It was really tiny. Last month, only 10 people bought tickets via social media link. I thought it would be a little bit higher after that. Then you can look at quantities. This is something the museums really after, though, number of followers. Some museums put out competitions to try and make people follow them. They actually plead people to follow them. I find that a bit weird, it's sort of begging people to follow you. The British Museum doesn't do that. They've just been asking people questions and saying, can you pass this on to your friends? Not saying, please follow us to get us to 200 or 1,000 followers. You can see how many people clicked on links via Bitly. But that actually relies on people remembering to use Bitly in the pro version and actually remembering to click the links through so you get the stats back. And when we first started doing this, people forgot all the time, so we haven't got stats from the beginning of the use of this social media platform.